Hey there, this is Neil Napier here, and welcome to today's session, which is the second walkthrough session in the series of 8. And today we'll be talking about smart funnels. So last week we talked about smart funnels as well, and I wanted to devote this session to this topic because it is a very important topic. It's a big part of the platform, and I want to make sure that you understand everything that it can do as well. Last week, we talked about how you can use smart funnels to create your opt-in pages, thank you pages, sales pages, and today we will go a bit further and see some more advanced stuff. But before I get into that, can you let me know in the chat box that you can hear me fine? And can you also tell me if you can see the screen as well? The screen should be the Kyvio dashboard. Okay, Giselle's there already. Hey Neil, looking forward to this. Thank you again. Thank you as well. Drew, Kevin, Ebe, Angie, O'Neill, Tracy, Nigel, Annette, good to have you on the call as well. Annette's coming in from Munich, Germany. Cool. We've got a lot of people who are regularly in the Facebook group as well, which is good. If you're not, find the Kyvio Facebook group and join it because I try and keep it very friendly and exciting over there. Okay, cool. Everyone, I'm not going to spend too much time on formalities. I want to get into this because I've got a lot of good things to share with you today. So we're going to proceed with the Smart Funnels module today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here and say build your funnel. Now, just like last time, it takes me to this sub menu where you can see on the left now, the menu has changed. And if you wanted to switch to another module, you can click on one of these and you can go to another place. When you land here, you first see your smart funnel dashboard, which includes a list of all the funnels you have in place, right? You can delete them, you can archive them, you can put them in the bin, and you can do a lot of different things. But based on the types of funnels that you have created to begin with, they're categorized here and they're put in these different places. Now, as of now, if you started with an opt-in funnel, but then decided, okay, no, this is going to be a sales funnel, the type actually doesn't change. In future, we will allow you to change the type as well. And in future, we'll also make it easy for you to have more options for when you want to build your own funnels. But we discussed earlier in the last session how to build your own funnels. In this case, I'm going to go in a little bit deeper and talk about the advanced functionalities that are available within these pages. So let's go in. This is the funnel that we were editing last week. We built a squeeze page and an upsell page, and you can have a thank you page as well. So let's start by looking at this menu right over here. So this tells me what kind of page it is. It's an opt-in page. And again, remember, the type cannot be changed. If you decide to remove opt-in, you can't change the type as of yet, but we'll make sure that we take care of this in future. Again, it's more for aesthetics. Then you have an option to have the page active or inactive. Once you've activated it, the only reason you would want to deactivate it is if you don't want that page to be shown anymore. Personally, I wouldn't do that. If anything, you can just change the configuration of your page so that you can have another message over there, but you don't need to deactivate it. You have the option for split testing as well. That is whether or not you're split testing. So we'll do that today, and I'll show you how to make that work for you. Then you've got some quick statistics which show you the number of clicks, conversion, conversion rate, and the revenue generated from that page, all of which you can set over here as I'll show you soon. You already have the edit button, which you saw before. And then you have the general settings button as well. Now, this has been changed based on the new user interface. So when you click on that, you will see 4 different things: general settings, split tests, goal tracking, as well as cost and budget. Personally, even till now, I don't use cost and budget. I do use goal tracking quite often, but I don't worry about this one because I'm not driving a lot of paid traffic. I'm not buying leads using email swaps, I guess they're called, or other kind of ways to generate emails. So I'm focusing on mostly content creation. So for me, the cost and budget, it's not so tangible. But let's look at these 4 fields. First, you've got the page name. You can change that as you want. Then you've got the page URL. This is a good place to change the URL as well. The slug at the end of this can be changed. And remember, if it's mapped to a particular domain, then this change would be reflected there as well. You can again change the page and put it in draft mode or publish mode. And this is where you can display the powered by on the bottom right of the page. So I'm going to turn this on and explain this in a few minutes as well later on. So you can turn on the display powered by here. You can save the page as HTML, so it'll download it to your computer, your hard drive. If you want to use it later, if you want to take it somewhere else, you can do that. Let's go back in. We hadn't saved it, so I'll save it now. Let's go back in again. Then you can also reset the counters if you want to, so I'm going to do that now. It takes a few minutes for the cron job to run, and within 5 minutes or so, your counters will be reset. And then you can also visit the page if you want to. So it goes to the actual page in this case. I'll talk to the team so we also make sure that this opens in a new tab. Then you've got the option to do split testing. Now again, this is a little bit advanced, and the way to use this first is to create different variations of your opt-in page. So at the moment, we don't have a variation, so I'm going to go in, make one, and then we'll come back to the split test. Then you can also do goal tracking. So remember, this one is an opt-in page. There are a few options. You can either track the number of leads that you're generating, or you can track sales. Now, here's something that you need to remember, that if you are using an external tool like Thrivecart or JVZoo, ClickBank, Zaxa, whatever, we won't be 100% able to track all the sales, just because sometimes the API can falter. So there you might notice that the number here might be different to the number inside of Thrivecart or JVZoo. That's just how things are. But if you are using the tools that we provide in here, hooking this up with your Stripe or PayPal, then you will be able to track sales and leads better. In this case, I want to track leads. So let's say for every lead, maybe I make about $5. And the goal page is where people land after they've opted in, which in this case is the upsell number 1. And this is now our opt-in thank you URL. So remember, when you set up the previous page, you were directly pointing it to the upsell page when you set up the squeeze page. So I'm going to just save this one, and let's open this in edit mode as well. See, the stats have reset. So I'm going to open this up, and when now people opt in, instead of sending them to a specific thank you page, I'm going to put my code here that I copied from here. So if I go back in here again, let's go to goal tracking. This is our code, and I'm going to copy this in here. So now we can successfully track every lead that comes in, and we can give it value as well. So next time when you come in, when someone has opted in, you'll see an actual value over there. I'll show you that in a couple of minutes as well as we run through the funnel again. Then you have the costs and budgets, which again, I don't use because I don't worry too much about paid traffic at the moment. But if I was, then I could say that our cost per click is $2 approximately. Again, we have USD as the base currency, and this is mostly for you for internal reporting. So if your currency doesn't show here, not a big deal. This is mostly just to gauge levels. So let's save the setting. And remember, we have the page over there. So let me refresh this and see if it's registered any clicks or conversions. Nothing at the moment. So this is our page. Remember, let's save this one and let's open it up in a new tab. So I'm just going to log in here to sign up here. So let's go for neil@kyvio.com and Neil Napier, reserve my copy. And that takes us to the upsell page, which is perfectly fine. So in this case, I'm going to go back. And again, depending on the cron job, it runs every few minutes. It will update these values with the clicks, with the conversions, as well as then the potential revenue in that case. Going back to this menu, you've got the button here, which is again to visit the page. And then you've got a possibility to clone the page as well if you so choose. You can delete it too, but by clicking here, you can clone the page. So you can see now automatically it's created that clone. If I try and edit it, you'll see it looks the same. Everything is more or less the same. That's a broken image as well, which is a little bit frustrating. So I'll get rid of that, and that's it. So you can save, you can clone a page, and you can reuse it within the same funnel if you want to. But don't worry, you don't need this for split testing. For split testing, it is much easier to do so. So let's go back to our squeeze page, and I'm going to get rid of this. So we've got this page, which is, let me move this go to webinar window, which is perfectly fine. Now what I want to do is I want to split test it, because maybe I'm okay with the headline, everything is fine. Maybe I just want to get rid of the timer and see which one converts better. So what I'm going to do, and let's just save this for later, is create a new variation. When you want to create a new variation, you can either start with a new template from scratch, which is something I will not recommend ever, just because if you're really split testing, then you want to continue using the same template. So duplicate the current variation, click on create variation, and it will reload the variation for you over here. So we have now variation B. We were working on A, and now we have B. So what I'll do in this case is I'll get rid of the timer. That's it. Click save. And if I try and view it now, there's no timer. But if I try and view it again, remember, it remembers my cookies, so it will not show me timer again in this video, on this page, right? So what I can do instead is I can copy this, and let's open a new incognito window. And this was our squeeze page. Let's open that up as well. Now we have a timer. So that's the key difference. With split testing, now if I run this for long enough time, I will know exactly how both the pages are performing. Just reload this. Okay, stats are slowly updating. So you can see here split testing is in fact activated. If I go in here and if I go to split tests, you can also see that even though we activated it, variation B is only at 0%. So let's go ahead and let's turn this into 50. And let's turn this into 50 as well. So now it's published, it's active. Let's click on this. I can pause this variation if I wanted to as well, but there's no need to do that. And this should also be set to with a pause button because of course it's active. So this is how easy it is to set up split testing as well. It's an advanced feature. I wouldn't recommend everyone to do it. For now, I would say focus on just generating new leads, and then eventually you can try more advanced things such as what I've shown you. But we have a lot more to look at inside the tool. So there are a few different things that I want to show you. I already walked you through the editor last week, but this time, the first thing I wanted to show you was the split testing. You can have as many variations as you want. Then you also have an option to change the URL from within here if you wanted to. So if I wanted to, I could just change the name to this. And voila, we are done. This changes the URL for both the variations because remember, we load both the variations from the same URL. So that way you don't need to share two URLs with two different sets of people just to track results. Instead, this time they all see the same thing. You have an option here to undo the changes you did and redo. If you remove something and if you want to bring it back, you can do that over here. You have an option to view all the layers as well. So if I click on this, this is not a very complicated page. You can see what layers are in place over here. Same with columns, you can see what columns are in place. Same with boxes and with different items as well. Because this way, if you wanted to, you can clone them right from within here. You can also animate them right from here. You can hide them. You can hide the visibility from here as well. There you go. And in fact, you can even change the visibility based on mobile. For example, if you are dealing with tablets and smartphones, and you can say, okay, this item should not be visible on small devices. And that's perfectly fine. Of course, because I'm on desktop right now, even if I hide it from the small device, it still shows up because I'm looking at the desktop view. But you can do this and you can make sure that you serve different variations of the page when people are coming in from mobile. Then if you wanted to actually look at it, you can click here and look at the mobile view as well, which is this. Let me see if I actually change the layering. So let's click here. Okay, let's hide it. Let's go back here. And again, you can see now there's only one because we hid it from both mobile and page view. I see this has kind of moved things around a little bit. I'll look into that. But if you wanted to, you can just bring it back right over here. There we go. And let's change this up a little bit as well. Okay, I also think it's moved it a little bit to the left. Let's see if I can do it a bit differently. Okay. Yep, I think switching from mobile view to desktop view did something to it. So not entirely sure. I'll look into that. And if I need to still though, remember I can go into columns, put 3 columns right over here. And actually, let's just take this over there as well. And let's restructure this. And there we go. We're more or less back to where we started, which is good. So let's save this again. Then you've got the options over here, which I want to walk you through as well. So the first option is page options. If you click on this, you'll see a few different fields. The first is general, where you can change what people see when they land on this page, what people see on top. So you can see there, it says restaurant squeeze. Obviously, it's not a very clever name. So I could call this something like cooking recipe or cooking guidebook. Then some description, which is very useful for SEO, some keywords as well, very useful for SEO. If you wanted to, you could hide it from the search engine. It's up to you. I wouldn't particularly recommend you to do that, but it's really entirely up to you. You can change the background color if you want as well, and you can integrate with reply tab here. So that's something that allows you to have chat over here, kind of like how ConvertFox does as well. You then have the option to have a background image. You also have the option to have a background video. Now, do remember one thing, by the way. I just want to show you this before I go any further. Let me go to webinar around. Every block has its own settings and options as well, especially the background image and video. So in this case, you can see we have this image over here. This is the image that you see right at the back, right? So the page can also have its own image. And only the block image, block image will always show up first, like it'll be on top. The page will be more of a background, if you think about that. You can also have videos. So we recommend using YouTube video URLs in this case. You can put a video on YouTube, set it to unlisted, and you can show that here on the page as well. You can change the fonts on the page if you want to. It doesn't change everything here because you have to kind of go back in sometimes if you've used specific fonts. But doing this allows you to change the fonts really quickly on your pages. Text size, text color, whatnot. You even have link hover color. So you can change that too. Then you can also include social network image. So a lot of these images we automatically extract from the page. But if you wanted to, you can browse and upload your own images as well. You can even get images from Pixabay if you wanted to do that. So if I again said food, I can pick one of these images as my social image. So whenever I now share this on Facebook or even Skype sometimes, that's the image that will show up. Okay, cool. Then we have the header options. Now, right now the header is turned off. If I click here, the header will get turned on. Let me just check the audio. All right. If I click here, the header will get turned on. So you can see the header over there. It's quite fixed. Personally, I don't really see the need to use it because if I have to use it, I can just create it myself. I can add a new block and I can add things to it. But If you want to, you can use this. So you can change the logo that shows up there. Right now we have like text, but you can change that if you wanted to. You can add a tagline to it as well, right over here. Or here if you wanted to. That's perfectly fine as well. Change the colors. You have the menu items. You can position them differently as you want. Different styles. Again, this is all pre-configured. And then you have the menu colors as well. So let's change it up to black. Okay, great. So this is how easy it is to configure your own header for these pages. Again, for opt-in pages, thank you pages, you don't really need the header. Header is more for full-blown websites, in my opinion, which is kind of like what Kyvio.com looks like. You know, that's where I would use a header, for example, right over here. And this is something, again, we made by putting in a block and building everything with that. Then you've also got the option for conversion tools. So with WordPress, for example, when you use WordPress, you need to have a lot of different plugins that do a lot of different things. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, sure, you get a new plugin every month that does the same thing. But the big problem is that plugins can be buggy. They can even have security issues. So it's not fun to use them and they break. So what we have done instead is we have allowed you to do your own things on these pages if you want to. So you can enable a pop-up, which I absolutely love. A pop-up is great as long as it's delivered at the right time. So what I can do with the pop-up is I can create it from scratch. So this is what a pop-up screen looks like. But hey, if I want it to be bigger, wider, taller, I can do all of that. It's like, to me, it's great because I'm starting with a blank canvas and I can build things whatever way I want. So let me just drag and drop the headline. Let me drag and drop a video as well. And I can drag and drop maybe even a button now. If I just wanted to sell people on a trial, if they were trying to exit from the page, I could say, hey, do you want to try this out for 30 days? Yep. Let's centralize this. Okay. Perfect. Here's a video. And let's give it a little bit more gap to make it a bit prettier. There you go. That's it. That's it. We're done. Exit. Save. I'm going to go back and look at the pop-up option again. So it loads up every time the page loads. So let's open this. Did I configure it right? Let's just check that. There's an interval. Let's turn it to exit intent. So if someone tries to leave the page. Interesting. Okay. I didn't pick the wrong one, I guess. I mean, I didn't pick the right one. That's what I meant. Okay, let's click on exit and let's go back and click on conversion tools. Which one is this? So again, everything that you create has different names, as you can see over here. So it has different identifiers with which you know what they actually look like. Okay, so let's exit. Okay, well, I'll check out why that is. But then in these cases, the pop-up should show up as well. Idiots. I know why. Because I'm in variation B. I'm editing in variation B. So all these things should be visible in variation B only. And I'm looking at variation A. So let's refresh this and hope that the variation B actually loads up. So that's the funny thing about split testing is that if you are not doing it right, then yeah, it will not show up properly. Okay, what can I do? What can I do? Again, with cookies, you have to get lucky because you might not be able to get the variation that you want. So let me cheat a little bit. I'm going to go back and change the variation settings so that none of them go to B and all 100% go to A. Okay. Now, fingers crossed. That's not the page. That's the page. Nope, it still remembers that. Oh well. You get the picture. I'm going to jump into version A actually and start editing that because then I can really show you changes in real time. So let's go into conversion tools. Let's enable pop-up, and this is our pop-up. And exit intent, create new pop-up. Oh, we don't need to create one. Let's go to conversion tools. Let's edit and make sure. Nope, this is not it. Okay. Perfect. Let's run with this one for now. Just to check again. Yep. All right. Save this. So if I try and now exit, the pop-up shows up as expected. That's good. Okay. That's the conversion tools. You've also got the other options here. So you've got the option for having an info bar. I remember a few years ago, this was its own product, but now you've got the info bar here that you can configure as you want. So consider this a smaller block segment, right? So you can have, for example, some text there. You can even have background image. You don't need to put too much effort into this, but here's how I would use it. I would use info bar at the bottom. So there was a way to put this at the bottom as well, but anyway, for now, change the height a little bit because I want to put some additional stuff in there. You've got the background color as well that you can change. You've got the opacity as well that you can change. I would just leave this at full size, honestly, as long as it doesn't block the page view. That's the key thing. As long as it doesn't block the text on the page. So you always need to check and make sure that it's not blocking anything. If it is, you can just turn it a little less opaque and that would be fine. A few more settings here for you as well. Change the borders if you want to. You can enable color overlay. So when people hover over it, what color shows up? You can change the formatting if you want to, as well as have a background image and background video. Oh yeah, there it is. You can change the info bar position from top to bottom. I prefer to use bottom actually, just because it works better, in my opinion. So let's close this. If I want to go back in and change it still, I'll go into info bar, and let's say every time the page is loaded, let's edit this. That's where the info bar is. And if I wanted to add some text to it, I could do that as well. There we go. If I wanted to actually turn this into columns, I could do that here as well. There we go. And some timer. But it's too big, so I'm going to make it smaller. Or text-based, so it's easier. And change the colors. Play around with it. Basically, a lot of times when I work with this, it seems more like a game than anything else. Because you can play with it, you can change so much. Then you also have the option to have an action message, which is something mostly developers use, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. All it does is it basically loads a prompt on the page. Quite unnecessary, I think. There's enough that you can do with pop-up and info bars, And you can also have a full page overlay if you wanted to. So if I click here, you can see this is a full page overlay that people can use to showcase their own content first instead of what's actually on the page. You probably have seen this on sites like Forbes.com. If you try and read an article, they bring up a full page overlay. So you can do that as well. You have the possibility to add scripts and tracking code. So for example, if you wanted to collect Facebook retargeting lists, you can do that here. If you wanted to load some custom CSS or custom HTML, as long as it can be put into one of these three places, you can put it over here. Okay, there are instructions. You can insert any type of JavaScript code or pixel tracking code. Do remember, this is advanced though. The way we use it is that we put our Google Analytics script on all these pages so we know how to actually track and see where the traffic is coming from. You've got the option to change template, which I wouldn't recommend changing it midway because you lose all your changes, you lose all your content. You've got the option to save this page as HTML or save this as template, which is really useful if you are looking to reuse this in future. So I could save it as template, and I could call this Neil cooking recipe opt-in, and let's say it's a lead gen funnel, it's a bridge or pre-sale page, and if I had a screenshot of this, I could put that here as well, but this is fine, and I can save it. And now when I go back to add a new page, when I have to pick a template, I can pick this one. So it will be always available for me in my account for that particular site. As always, when you're done, click save. If you want to, you can click here and view the page as well. You can see there's a full page overlay as well. We didn't put anything on it. And then there's the bottom info bar as well. This is really good for urgency, by the way, really good for urgency. If you want people to take action, have an info bar in place. And again, with Kyvio, you don't need external tools to be able to do all of this. Now, I'll go to questions and I'll circle back and I'll see if there's anything I missed that I could answer for you. Cool. So let me know if you have any questions so far. If not, we'll keep going forward and I'll show you a few more things. So will you be able to go with a smart membership? That'll be another day, Drew. I think it's actually planned for 2 weeks from now. Yep, Nigel, variation B was paused, I think. I'll look at that. I'll see what happened there because I thought I activated it, but clearly I probably didn't save it. So I guess it was paused. But again, I'll test it out again after this call. Okay. Excellent. Same place to insert Google Analytics. Yeah. So the script is what I showed you earlier, is where you put in any kind of script, which, you know, for example, there's, I'm trying to think. Yeah, Hotjar, I think it's called. Hotjar is a tool online that, you know, allows you to run heat maps and visitor logging and whatnot. Think Google Analytics, but with a few more features. So they usually give you a script to put on a page, and you can do that as well. And you can see all the statistics, you know, what kind of actions people are taking on your website. I think they have a free plan as well. Let me see. Yeah, they have a free plan as well, 2,000 page views per day, which is pretty good already. So I would recommend you use that to get a better understanding of what people are doing on your pages. Can you go in depth for the smart funnel to lead purchasing a membership to product? Drew, that actually comes more with membership, but yes, I will definitely do that in a couple of weeks. But the full flow as well, yeah. You know, when we start setting up the membership, we'll have to put the buy button somewhere. So I'll circle back to these landing pages and I'll put them there and I'll show you the process behind the scenes. Okay. All right. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm just going to go in and check a few things, see what else I can show you today. Let's exit this one. Okay. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you powered by, right? So let's select all these pages and turn on powered by. Okay, it's been turned on. Let's go and view this. And again, we have these and this, but it hasn't been turned on, I think, for the main account. So let's go back and check account settings, I think, or is it under site? Let's check both. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering, because we do get a lot of questions, how many funnels do I have? How many, do I have this or that feature? You can always go here. You can always go to your name over here in account settings, and you can look at everything you have within the system. It'll tell you right within there. Okay. Okay. Hopefully that's clear. Let's go into edit site. This is published. All right. Let's go into manage sites. This is where you see all the sites that are available under your account. Okay. So these are all the sites. You can even remove some of them if you want. The core site is hard to remove though, like that's the main site, because your account is actually attached to the main site. So if you were to remove it, it might not become available that easily. It might cause issues in your account. So feel free to delete the site if you want, but always come back to us and ask us questions if you get stuck somewhere. Okay. All right, let me just review a few more things over here. Okay, so this is where we need to go into interface settings, and this is where you can also hide or show modules in future if you wanted to. That way, because there's so much within this platform, you don't always need to show everything. Okay. All right. Riste, if you're on the call as well, I'm kind of having trouble finding where to. There's a master switch to turn the bottom right logo for Kyvio on and off, but I can't seem to find that. If you know of it, feel free to unmute and jump in. If you don't, I'll look for it again after this call and I'll share with everyone. Okay. In the meantime, let's go into Smart Funnels. We do have some reports as well over here. So I'm going to jump in and click here and show you the kind of reports that are available to be seen. So we've got, say, for the last 30 days, I'll say go. And I instantly know that for these funnels, these are how many clicks we've had, how many leads we've generated, conversions, all these different numbers that you need. All of them are instantly available over here. Okay. And if I click on plus or minus here, it shows me all the pages available under this funnel as well. So you can get a quick overview just from this. All right. Then you've also got the possibility to know where your visitors are coming from. So if you didn't install Google Analytics, you can still use this feature to see where your visitors are coming in from. So in my case, as you can see, let's go last 30 days. In my case, a lot of you actually are from the US and Canada. So that's where people are coming from. Then we have people coming from Brazil as well, from Russia, from India, from China, from Finland. That's, of course, me. Then you've got Germany as well. You've got France and Spain, Australia, South Africa, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia. So we have people coming from all different parts of the world, even Norway. No one from Iceland, though. So you get some idea about where your target market is coming from and what city as well. So as you can see, a lot of them are coming from Bournemouth in the UK. Then you've got Ashburn in the US. Is anyone here from Bournemouth or Ashburn? Let me know. Yeah. Is it possible to rename blocks or pop-ups in Page Builder? Yes, you can rename them, definitely. You can rename them, but just you need to have a hashtag before them. So I think if I go back in here, I'll figure out the powered by thing. I'm not sure where that went. I think there was a master switch somewhere, so I have to find that. But if I go into, let's say, conversion tools and info bars, there's some I can change, some I can't. So some are automatically created by Kyvio. Okay, but this one I can change, so I can call this Neil info bar. As long as you remember it later, that's all that matters. There we go, Neil info bar. But I'll turn this off because we don't really need them. All right, so you can find out visitors by location as well as continent. Then you can also look at visitors by device, which is really, really important because you want to know what device most of your customers are using. So if it's computer or phone or tablet, you need to know that. If it's iPhone or Mac or Samsung, iPad, it's good to know that as well. So you understand your demographic a little bit better. If it's Windows, I mean, we have more Windows users than Apple users. We have more people using Chrome than any other platform, like any other browser like Firefox or Safari. So we know as well that, if we want to test things, these are the 3 or 4 main tools that we should test them in. Then you also get some visitor log, so you can see this is me. So I'm logging in from my computer. I've got Windows 8.1 and no referrer. I mean, I just landed directly on the site, but you can see someone 37 minutes ago landed from the US, New York, someone else from Fort Lauderdale, someone from the Philippines, and so on and so forth. So it gives you a live log of all your users. Now, do understand that coming May, there's going to be a lot of changes with the EU GDPR regulations, which means that we're going to have to process this data differently than we do now. So this will change by May because, when we get to GDPR, it's complicated, but we have to allow people to delete their own data or view their own data, things like that. So all this will change by then. But then we have the traffic sources as well. So here you can see that a lot of traffic is direct, and then we have traffic from some other smaller sources as well. Not a lot of traffic from Google in this case, because this is still not our main site. Our main site is Kyvio itself, right? So these are all the statistics that can help you understand where your target market is coming from, where they're going. And this is really useful to know how you need to build your pages, who you need to build your pages for as well. I think that's the most important thing for when it comes to serving your target market. Okay. Yep, Marilyn, that might be you. So Marilyn said, I'm from the UK, just outside London, rather than Bournemouth. It depends on where your internet connection is being picked from at any given time. Even for me, if I try and check my IP address, it's not, the city where I am. It's like 100 kilometers away. So that can happen. Is SEO relevant on my site when using Kyvio plugin? So Kyvio is a web-based solution, but if you mean using the Kyvio plugin on your own WordPress site from which you can kind of show pages from Kyvio, then SEO is not relevant because the content is still being served by us. Okay. Okay, Erica, I appreciate that heads up. Let me just check that. Powered by account settings, your profile. All right. I was so close. I was so close. Okay. So as I was saying, this is the master switch. Thank you, Erica. This is the master switch under profile where people can click basically and turn on powered by for all their pages, for all their submodules, or they can hide for some of them if they want to. So because I just want to show you funnel, I'm going to hide this one. Let's see if it shows up. Let's reload this because again, we've changed the page as well. There we go, created with Kyvio. So that shows up. And you can put your affiliate link over here so that whenever someone does land on your page, you get paid from that as well. Now, here's a tip that I want to give to you that you should use, absolutely must use in your business. If you are selling a product, if you are asking people to opt in, do not show these powered by buttons on those pages. Why? Because your core task there is to sell something, is to get people to opt in somewhere. That's something that you absolutely must do at that time. Don't distract them by trying to sell them Kyvio. However, when they land on the thank you page, even if you're only selling t-shirts or guide on how to lose weight, doesn't matter, you can still have a message on the bottom right which says created with Kyvio. And if they check out Kyvio, if they buy Kyvio, you get paid. So again, don't do this on your main money making pages, but after someone has paid, it's okay to give them an option to know, to see how this page was created. All right. So just because it's there doesn't mean you need to use it everywhere. I would definitely turn it off on most places, but for some pages, I would turn it on, which is why we built this functionality so that you could actually turn it off on some pages and turn it on others. So for example, for this one, I don't need to show it, so I can go in and I can turn off the power by. For this one, I do want to show these ones, so I'll keep them activated. Cool. Is SSL included in Kyvio? It absolutely is. So when you set up your site, let me just go here. When you set up your site, you can activate SSL as well. Let me validate domain. Okay, it's all valid. So I'm going to click on yes. So it generates SSL for you automatically. Oh, I will let it do that first. I think it's in the process of doing that right now. So yes, SSL is actively generated for you. You just have to click here once, and that's it. That's all you need to do. All right. Any other questions I can help you with today? Otherwise, this has been a short session. Next week, we'll actually be doing more of a case study. So I'm going to be showing you pages. I'm going to show you, different funnels, different kinds of funnels built within Kyvio, and I'll show you how everything is brought together. So I suspect that we might discuss or share between 3 to 6 funnels next week. It might be a little bit longer session because there's quite a lot to show. And I am traveling next week, so I'll make sure that I'm in a quiet place to do that session. If I can't be, I'll pre-record it, I'll share with you, and then Riste or someone else can jump in and answer the questions for you as well. All right. So any questions I can answer for you right now, let me know. If not, that's perfectly fine. We'll reconvene within a week then. Cool. Drew, good to have you on the call. Drew says, great webinar. Looking forward to the membership webinars. Me too. Tracy, you're most welcome. Annette, you as well. Love the webinar. Thank you very much too. Kevin, you as well. Good to have you on the call. Hopefully see you next week too. Michael, I know you're waiting for the membership side of things as well. We'll come to that very shortly, and I'm confident you'll be pleased. All right. Giselle, thank you for being on the call, and thank you for always being so communicative. It always helps. Nigel, Daniel, Marilyn, Michael, Azaris, Erica, Germando, have a good time. Germando's asking, or Grimaldo, sorry, is asking what time is it there? It's close to 11 p.m. Yeah, close to 11 p.m. Will Kyvio be handy for creating normal web pages? Yes, so that's one of the things that I'll be discussing next week. And if you go to kyvio.com, this entire thing was built inside of Kyvio. So yeah, this is a normal website, and it was completely built on Kyvio. We have a lot of footer links at the bottom, actually. Yeah. Okay, great. Have a good rest of the day. We'll talk soon. Bye.